Hello, and thanks for tuning in for our live no fault reform video here. We're looking to educate people of Michigan on the changes coming down the pipeline starting July 1st with the auto no fault law. Um, there are many changes. I'm sure you've heard a lot through the news and through the papers um, about how your rates are going to go down. You're going to have some choices, other things that they've talked about implementing. Um, I'm here to give you the nuts and bolts of it. There are other things in the background happening that people may not be aware of. That we want to make sure that you're not caught in a bad situation in the event of an auto accident. So, first thing we want to talk about is the order of priority. So, what that means is that in the past, there was an order in which everything paid out. Um, and you probably often heard um, if you're if someone borrows your vehicle and as long as they have permission to drive your vehicle, they're covered. That was true prior to the reform. Now, moving into the reform, that's not necessarily going to be the case. Now, your physical damage to your vehicle will still be covered, so we're still going to cover the damage that your car incurs. But what we will not do is we're not going to cover the medical claims for anyone that was not listed on your policy or a resident of your household. Um, those people. So let's use a scenario. Let's say you have an out of town guest comes into town. They drive your vehicle. If they live in Florida, for instance, they drive your vehicle. They get in a car accident. They're seriously injured. Your policy will not cover them. Now, if they are a resident of the state of Michigan, there is a contingency plan. It's called the MACP, the Michigan Assigned Claims Facility. They are going to cover up to $250,000 in medical bills. So it'll be capped at 250,000. So that's going to be true for any Michigan residents that are not covered under a policy that get in a car accident. The order of priority would be first the policy for the named insured, then the policy for uh, the spouse of the name insured or the owner of the vehicle. Um, then from there, it would then go to the Michigan Claims facility. So that's one of the biggest things where we really got to kind of watch out is situations where maybe we have there's a divorce and there's children. They may live in one household or the other. We want to make sure that that coverage is in place. As long as there's a policy in place at both households, you're going to be okay. It's just going to be a matter of which policy is paying out. Where we can get into some trouble is, let's say you have a young driver in the household, a college age kid, and they go to school in somewhere like Ohio, and they use your vehicle, and during that time, they change their address to their residence in Ohio to get the in-state tuition rate. Well, effectively, what they did was they just guaranteed not to be covered by your auto insurance policy because now their address is no longer in your household, and therefore, and if they're not listed as a driver, they're no longer covered by the medical portion in that policy. So that's something you need to be aware of and safeguard against. Where this is really another area where this is really going to come into play is we have a lot of parents out there that are really trying to help their kids, and they insure their vehicle on their policy even though they don't live with you and you do not own that vehicle. Or even if you do own the vehicle, but it's always at their residence and their residence um, address is outside of your residence, then that can be an issue where now they're going to be capped at the 250,000, even though you might have unlimited medical on your policy. So these are things that you really need to talk to your insurance agent about and kind of talk through the scenario to make sure that you're covered properly. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us too. We'd be more than happy to help at the Michael Varicki Insurance Agency. Um, Another thing that we want to talk about that's changing is uh, the medical, the personal injury protection. Okay. So in the past, everybody had unlimited. Okay. This is the big change that we're seeing. With the unlimited medical, if you had insurance, you still had to carry the unlimited. Now, with the new no fault law, if you want to, if you have a qualifying health plan through your employer that covers auto accidents, you're going to be able to waive your PIP altogether. Although we are um, advising against that. We're advising that you take the you really look at what your family might need, because what people do not understand is that the auto insurance is going to pay for a lot of things that your medical insurance would not. Some of those things include attendant care. They include uh, if you need occupational therapy, maybe you've suffered a catastrophic injury and you need to learn how to get back into the job force. They're not going to cover things like, uh, let's say you have suffered a brain injury and you have to go back to school. To learn how to do some simple functions. They're also not going to cover your rides to and from medical appointments, stuff like that, if you're unable to drive yourself. Um, so there's also updates to your home. I know a gentleman who was seriously injured in a car accident, disabled, and they had to update his home to accommodate his injury. So these are the types of things that you're going to lose when you don't have the auto picking up the medical portion. Um, with that, we are also going to talk about changes. Okay, so you can select unlimited if you want still, but and there will be a small decrease if nothing else from the MCCA, which goes from $220 a year per car down to $100 per car if you still select unlimited. So you are going to see a savings there. Also, you're also going to see you have options to select a $500,000 cap if you'd want, or a $250,000 cap if you want. Now, you do not have to have qualifying coverage to select any of those options, okay? If you have Medicare or Medicaid, I'm sorry, Medicaid, um, the lowest you can go is a $50,000 cap. That means that the most the insurance company would pay out for the lifetime of that one accident would be $50,000. With that, you would then be able to uh, it, reduce your premium significantly. We're looking at about a 45% decrease for those people that take that option. Now, with like I said, if you have qualifying health care or if you are on Medicare um, with a supplement, you can waive your personal injury protection altogether, which means a pretty significant savings. Not only will you be able to reduce your MCCA fee from $220 per vehicle to zero, but you'll also be able to remove that personal injury protection coverage if you so choose. Again, I'm cautioning against this unless you've had a really great conversation with your insurance agent and you really feel that you don't need this coverage. But it is an option. Um, in I can show you in a minute here all the things you would lose by just relying on Medicare versus the auto insurance company. Now, one thing to note here is that let's say you do choose a cap, okay? Let's say you pick a cap of 250,000 and you have Medicare. Medicare has said that if the auto insurance covers, then they have to cover everything. If the auto insurance does not cover, then Medicare will cover your auto accident. So if you select a cap, you have to exhaust the cap fully before Medicare would then kick in. Whereas if you have a qualifying health plan, that will likely coordinate and your cap is being used to pay copays, co-insurance, stuff of that nature. It's a little bit different scenario. So I think every person needs to sit down with their agent or a good agent um, of their choosing to really talk about their specific needs and specific options. There is no catch-all. I don't believe. I believe each scenario is unique and each needs to be treated that way. So I'd implore you to sit down with an agent and really talk through these things, or in the current climate, maybe do a virtual meeting like one of these. So that's the big change around the medical. You should be seeing, if you make no changes, you keep unlimited, at least a 10% savings on the PIP portion. And then if you select a $500,000 cap, a 20% savings. The $250,000 cap should be a 35% savings. The $50,000 cap should be a 45% savings. And the if you're waiving it, your personal injury protection altogether, it should be 100% savings on that coverage itself. So I hope that answers questions that you have about what's changing. There are a lot more changes. I will be doing some more lives to talk about those changes. Those are the biggest, though. I would tell you that the centered around how that personal injury protection pays out is going to be the biggest thing that you're really going to see changing with this law. Although there are many other changes that we'll discuss as we keep doing these. I'll try to do one every day during the stay-at-home order, just to fill some space and add some value to my Facebook community. All right. Well, thank you very much. At this time, I don't see any questions. I'll try to get a little more advance notice on the next one. So if anybody wants to tune in, they can feel free. I'll also post out a clip from this, and anybody can feel to reach out to me directly via Messenger with any questions I might be able to answer for them. All right. Again, this is Michael Varicki with Farm Bureau Insurance. If there's anything I can do for you, give me a call. Thank you very much.